Very emotional news. Loudly crying face, the painful secret of Blackpink Rosé. Loudly crying face, the heartbreaking truth behind his smile. In the quiet suburbs of Melbourne, far from the neon-soaked streets of Seoul, a young girl used to sit at her piano late into the night, singing until her voice grew thin and the house was still. Her name is Roseanne Park. Today, the world knows her as Rose, the main vocalist of Blackpink, a global fashion ambassador, and a record-breaking soloist. But before the historic Coachella performances and the roar of stadiums, there was a 16-year-old girl who boarded a one-way flight to a country she barely knew, leaving behind her family, her room, and her childhood. This is not just a story of a global pop icon. This is a journey through the terrifying isolation of a young immigrant, the crushing weight of artistic self-doubt, and the silent struggle of a woman who felt she had to be perfect just to earn her place. This is the deep, emotional truth of Rose, the voice that was almost silenced by fear, but was saved by the music she refused to let go of. The journey of Roseanne Park began in a place where music was her only sanctuary. Various media sources suggest that the start of this path was marked by a sudden, life-altering choice. When Rose's father noticed her passion and suggested she audition for YG Entertainment in Australia, Rose didn't see a future star in the mirror. Rose saw a girl who was simply too ordinary for the world stage. According to fans and early media reports, the initial transition to Korea was a period of profound psychological shock. Rose went from a quiet life in Australia to a high-pressure dormitory where she was surrounded by trainees who had been breathing the industry's air for years. Rose was a stranger to the language, a stranger to the culture, and most painfully, a stranger to herself. In those early days, the mental pressure was a silent, suffocating presence. Rose lived with the constant gnawing fear that she was a mistake, a girl who had traveled across the world only to find that she didn't belong. The training years were a brutal test of endurance that pushed Rose to the edge of collapse. Rose has often described the dormitory life as a survival game where the lights never truly turned off. The physical exhaustion of dancing until 4 in the morning was only half the battle. The real struggle was the mental war. Various media sources and past interviews suggest that Rose faced a significant lack of confidence in her early training. Surrounded by polished dancers and powerful vocalists, Rose felt like a shadow. There were moments of failure during evaluations that left Rose feeling paralyzed by criticism. Rose was told to change her style, to fit a mold, and to hide the very uniqueness that would later make Rose a star. The fear of being sent back to Australia as a failure was a nightmare that kept Rose awake long after the music stopped. Rose was a young girl fighting for a dream that felt like it was slipping through her fingers every single day. There was a moment of profound emotional tension that remains the most vulnerable chapter of the story of Rose. In verified interviews and the documentary Light Up the Sky, Rose has spoken about the agonizing loneliness of those early years. Rose admitted that there were nights when the distance from her family felt like a physical wound. According to media reports, Rose reached a point where she almost broke, feeling that her presence in the group was unnecessary and that she was losing her identity as an artist. Rose has spoken about the crushing feeling of being just a singer without a song of her own. Various media sources suggest that the period before her solo debut was a season of deep self-reflection and pain, where Rose struggled to find a voice that felt true to her. The loneliness of being a global superstar while feeling like a lost child is a silent agony that Rose carried behind a professional smile. Rose admitted that she often felt she was not good enough for the position she held, a persistent ghost of self-doubt that haunted her even as she became an icon. But Rose did not surrender. Rose chose to stay because the music was the only thing that made the world make sense. Rose took the pain of her isolation and turned it into a weapon of creativity. Rose realized that her unique, husky vocal tone, the one she was once afraid of, was actually her greatest strength. Rose stayed because she realized that her vulnerability was her superpower. In the middle of the self-doubt, Rose found the courage to write her own story, resulting in her solo debut R, which featured songs that spoke of her struggle to reach the top. Rose chose to embrace the hard work that others feared, spending more hours in the studio than anyone else, ensuring that every note Rose sang was infused with the truth of her journey. Rose found hope in the realization that she didn't have to be perfect, she just had to be Rose. Success has not immunized Rose from the pressures of the human condition. Even as a global leader in music, Rose has been open about the mental toll of the industry. Verified reports and her own admissions point to a woman who has suffered from severe burnout and the weight of public expectation. Disclaimer: various media sources suggest that Rose often deals with a sense of imposter syndrome, where the faster her success grows, the more she fears she might lose her footing. The loneliness of being at the top, combined with the relentless schedule of a global brand ambassador, has led to moments of intense mental fatigue. Rose has hinted at the struggle of maintaining an image of constant perfection, while her heart was craving the simplicity of her childhood piano. The transition to her own creative path, outside the group's shadow, was a season of immense fear, as Rose had to prove she could stand alone in a world that always wanted more. Why is Rose loved with such a deep and sincere devotion? It is because Rose is the soul of the artist. People love Rose because she is the star who will sit on a floor with a guitar and sing until her eyes water. Rose is loved because she is human. She shows her nerves, she shows her tears, and she shows her genuine love for her fans, whom she treats with a rare and gentle respect. Fans respect the way Rose handled her training, never complaining about the years of sacrifice. Rose is loved for the real humanitarian details. Her love for her dog Hank, her appreciation for a good meal, and her ability to make a massive stadium feel like a private living room. Rose is the star who didn't let fame harden her heart. She remained the girl who sings for the love of the song. The professional achievements of Rose are verified monuments of a legendary career. Rose holds 2 Guinness World Records for her solo work, including being the first artist to reach #1 on a Billboard global chart as both a soloist and part of a group. Verified data shows that her solo debut on the ground was a global phenomenon, topping charts in dozens of countries. According to various media sources and financial analysts, the net worth of Rose is estimated to be between $20 and $25 million. Rose has represented the most prestigious luxury houses in the world, including Saint Laurent and Tiffany & Company, where the influence of Rose is a verified economic miracle. But for Rose, the true achievement is the fact that she can now look at the girl at the piano in Australia and tell her that she was right to dream. Looking toward the future, Rose dreams of a life where her music is a lasting comfort to others. The future plans of Rose involve exploring her identity as a songwriter even more deeply, moving toward a sound that is entirely her own. Rose dreams of a world where artists are celebrated for their flaws and their honesty. Rose plans to continue her journey by staying true to her roots, ensuring that no matter how big the stage gets, the music remains personal. Her goal is not just more awards, but to become a more complete person who can find happiness in the silence as much as the applause. The story of Roseanne Park is a testament to the fact that the most beautiful voices are often the ones that have trembled with fear. Rose is the girl who crossed an ocean to find her voice, only to find it was already inside her. Rose is the trainee who felt unnecessary, who now stands as an essential pillar of global culture. Rose took the loneliness, the physical fatigue, and the artistic self-doubt, and Rose turned them into a symphony of resilience. As the narration fades, let the quiet strength of her journey settle in your heart. Think of the 16-year-old girl sitting on a plane, leaving everything behind for a chance to sing. Think of the woman who now carries the hopes of millions in every high note. Rose is a reminder that being vulnerable is the only way to be truly strong. We honor Rose for her talent, we admire Rose for her success, but we respect Rose for her heart. Thank you, Rose, for never letting the music die in your soul. Your journey is a masterpiece of survival, and as long as you continue to sing, the world will have a sanctuary to return to. May we always remember the courage it took for her to stand on the ground. And may we always hold Rose with the deepest respect she has rightfully earned.